Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this email that was sent from a subscriber. It's from a guy, he is 31 years old, and he's writing in to share the story about his dad, who's 53, who recently kicked out his single MOM fiance and her daughter after he discovered that not only was she using him for resources, big shocker, but also cheating on him with her ex low-life baby daddy. And you're going to find out in this story that the gal he gets involved with way too quick, rushes into the relationship. She's been married not once, but twice. 2 adult kids from one marriage and the 14-year-old daughter with the second one. And you're going to see in this story how his dad, who hasn't dated in decades because his dad's divorced, because this guy telling the story's mother cheated on him with his best friend, and so the guy's been off the market for a long time and isn't aware of how things are now today. However, his dad got caught up real quick after his experience with her. And that'll be a very good one to share with you guys, once again to show you, for you dating relationship types, that as always, you must be on your guard. You must do some serious vetting with the women nowadays, and how unfortunately there are just so many gals out there that will deliberately use guys that they think are fools for the resources and not care at all. And you are all good men and you work hard for your money and don't deserve to be treated that way. Nobody does. And if it was a woman, she deserved to be treated that way by a guy. But you're also going to see what happens when guys don't always want to hear reality. A lot of guys don't want to hear that the narrative that you're shown in movies and TV is BS and it's not a fairy tale, and they sometimes have to learn the hard way. And he even wrote in on the email saying teaching an old dog new tricks. Well, his dad is caught up real quick and now has learned. So let me go in and share here, guys, and I think you guys definitely will find it very entertaining and not to mention predictable. So it starts off, he says, hello SSM. I wanted to send in my story to thank you for the help your videos had given me in waking my dad up to the realities of the modern dating scene. He had been single for a little more than 14 years after my mom divorced him and ran off with his best friend when I was 16 years old. That is terrible. I'm sorry. I know your dad's watching this. I'm sorry, Dad. That fucking sucks. I hope karma comes and bite her with your best friend, right? He met a woman on a dating site for seniors around the middle of last year, and at first I thought she was a decent woman, but I've since changed my mind. I'm 31 years old and my dad is 53. I could share my own experiences with dating, but your videos already tell my story 100 times over. I wanted to send this in to thank you because it was making my dad sit down and watch a bunch of your videos that you posted that got him to understand that dating today is not the same as it was when he was younger. In no way, shape, or form. Now your dad's 53. I'm 45. Your dad's 8 years older than me, so he's probably born around 1970. Yes, quite different. I tried to tell him about my own experiences, but he didn't really want to believe that the dating market has turned into a pit fight. A lot of guys don't, and he had to learn the hard way. Not to mention that, let's be honest here, a guy doesn't want to hear from his son that his son knows better about women and dating than he does. Let's be honest here. It was after a lot of beer and hours of watching some of your more interesting stories that finally broke through, and he told me that he feels like an idiot for not seeing it. I love my dad. He's a great guy, has a fantastic career, and after he recovered from what my mom did to him, he put his life back together, as all men are capable of. He didn't bother with dating for nearly 10 years, but he said he was lonely and wanted to have someone in his life, now that he was getting older and coming to an end of his career. I know you heard the expression that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's not true, mostly. Old dogs just need more persuasion than a puppy. In other words, an old dog needs a good smack from their sons or their brothers or me to wake up to reality. And by the way, it's terrible what happened to your dad, but all of us watching this here, every single one of you, wherever you are around the world, you've made mistakes. You've had bad experiences. You didn't fucking know any better. But all you can do with those bad experiences and some very, very bad experiences and mistakes, because we all make mistakes, is learn from them. And if you can learn from them, then great, But hopefully people can learn from other people's screw-ups so they don't make the same ones and go through all the pain and humiliation and financial loss. That's why I do these stories, to help dudes out, as well as provide quality entertainment. It was this experience that has taught me the generational differences in thinking and reinforces the idea that men must adapt to the always changing dating market, or they're going to get destroyed playing a game they don't even know the rules for. Yes, absolutely. Guys, throughout history, the species that always survive calamities and change and all that aren't necessarily the strongest or the smartest. It's the ones that are the most able to adapt to a changing environment. So you have to always be able to adapt, and this can be applied to all areas of your life. For the story, we can call my dad James and his, until recently, live-in girlfriend Marlene. They met on a dating app and started going out. I was happy for my dad because he seemed to be happier than he'd been in a long time. The first time he introduced me to Marlene was out to dinner, and that was when I found out that she was 46 years old and a 14-year-old daughter named Nikki, not her real name. Single MOM, huh? Well, he learned that, unfortunately, there's a lot of negative stereotypes that go along with the single MOMs, and in my experience, as you guys are well aware, they're warranted. Not every single MOM is going to behave in a way that I talk about or show you in stories, but sadly a lot do. Therefore, men, it's in their interest to stick to gals that obviously don't have any kids, etc., etc. But I get he's 53, and obviously most 53-year-olds aren't going to be dating gals that are 24 and don't have any kids. But you get my point. Marlene seemed nice, and Nikki seemed like a good kid. That was about 14 months ago. Marlene and Nikki ended up moving into my dad's house after they'd been dating for only 4 months. Smack! Come on, Dad. 4 months? She doesn't have her own place? She living out in a freaking cardboard box in the alley behind the movie theater? No, she's not. She's capable of being on her own. What's the rush? I get you're getting up there in age, which, by the way, 53 isn't old because, in my opinion, that's only 8 years away from me, and I'm not fucking old, so therefore you're not old. There's no rush. You need to take your time. And I know you all know this now, but I have to make that clear. 4 months? This is the honeymoon period. She could put on the greatest show ever to show you all the great things. Everything's new. The SCX is amazing as it can be with a 46-year-old. You know, take your time. And when you rush into a relationship and rush into something like that, what does that communicate to a woman? That shows her that you, a man, is desperate to get her, desperate to make her happy, dying to rope in a girl so quickly that clearly women aren't throwing themselves at you, because otherwise you take your time, make them fight to get you. And that shows her, ooh, I got this guy, I got the power. 4 months this dumb motherfucker's moving me and my daughter in. What other kind of bullshit can I pull off? It's unfortunate, but that happens. And watch how her actions prove my point. When I told my dad that things were moving too fast, he just said he knew what he was doing. Don't tell me, son. I was driving when you weren't even born, or whatever. I didn't want to fight with him, but my gut was telling me this wasn't going to end well for him. Well, amigo, your gut was right. I learned a little more about Marlene over the following months. Oh, what did he learn? She's been married and divorced 2 times and has 2 adult kids with her first ex, and Nikki is her ex's second kid. But she claims he's a deadbeat and not part of her daughter's life. Let's remember, I'm going to read this again just so we're all clear. She claims he's a deadbeat and not part of his daughter's life. Okay, remember that part. My dad, for whatever reason, took it upon himself to fill that role for her. Smack. That's white knight shit. What happens to white knights? The black knights chop their heads off. They've been dating for about 9 months when my dad asked me what I thought about him getting married again. Smack. 9 months? 9 fucking months? No. Maybe after 5 years. Maybe after 5 years and that girl's a legal adult and out of the house, and she's proven through her actions that she's loyal, supportive, not using you, all these things. And even then, why the hell do you got to get married? You could have a relationship. I know probably got a relationship, but married after what you went through? And he was thinking about proposing to her, and I told him it was way too soon and to be having that discussion. He got angry with me when I brought up that she's already been married and divorced twice, and I seriously doubt that it was because of both her exes were terrible people. Remember, guys, how these stories go where, how many of you guys been in a situation where you've been on a date with a girl, a few dates, and her history comes up, you ask her about her exes, how many have said how horrible the guy was? Or even maybe labeling him as an abuser or something like that. When the odds are, the odds are, no, he wasn't. But just, she is the victim, and he's the villain. To get pity. I told him that there was nothing wrong with taking his time, to be sure, and he just told me that I didn't understand and hung up on me. Again, he doesn't want to have his son, even though you're a grown-ass man, tell him what's what. I was a bit surprised, but figured I would give him a little time to cool off before talking to him about it again. They'd only known each other for about 9 months and living together for 5, and he's already talking about getting married. Either this woman had a golden kitty cat, or she was manipulating him. Well, I would say absolutely she's manipulating him and using him, and that was the only kitty cat he's had in a long time, so that kitty cat felt like a golden kitty cat to him. I was leaning toward her manipulation and finding a white knight to provide for her and her kid. At least you've learned. I love my dad and I respect him, as you should. But where he was a normally fairly logical person in his decision making, he was acting completely out of character for the man that raised me after my mom left us. Guys, I've known men that were very sharp guys, not just book smart, but common sense smart, logical. But when it comes to women, they were dumb as shit. Or I've known guys that were guys, manly men. But when it comes to women or their wife, they were putty in their hands. They were little, well, let's be honest, simps. So it's not that uncommon. I can still remember how hard that time was in his life when my mom left him. She wasn't sorry or apologetic for running off with his best friend of nearly 10 years. When it came time to discuss custody of me, she didn't fight my dad at all, and he got full custody. God, I mean, on the one hand, that's great that you went with your dad, thank the Lord, because your mom's an asshole, but the fact that she was like, I don't care, you can have custody of him, I want to run off with my lover into the sunset. That's terrible. I hope you're not talking to her. She abandoned both of us for a man that she eventually married and divorced after 3 years when she caught him cheating on her. Of course. I guess karma's a bitch. We didn't really have any contact during that time, but after she got rid of the next guy, she wanted to pretend she was the mother of the year and try to get me to get back into her life. She was completely shocked that the 19-year-old me didn't want anything to do with her, and I haven't talked to her since. Whew. A lot of guys wouldn't have the balls to do that, man. Good for you. She didn't deserve that. She threw you away like garbage for her lover, and shocker, her bad boy lover, because that's obviously what he was, cheated on her. That's karma. Thousands of dudes, tens of thousands of dudes were laughing their ass off at that moment around the world. If you're laughing your ass off at that moment, tell me in the comment section where you were in the world laughing your ass off at that moment. Ireland, South America, well, Ireland, Brazil, New Mexico, wherever you are, let's hear it. It was a few weeks after he asked my opinion about him getting married again that he called me and apologized for being rude to me, when he was the one that asked for my opinion, and we let the topic drop. Good. No sense dragging it out and being a drama fest like a bunch of girls. After that, I guess everything was going well enough until Thanksgiving last year. She told him about a week before Thanksgiving that she was going to take Nikki to spend the holiday with her ex's parents. They live in the next town over, about an hour's drive away. My dad was disappointed, but he understood that Nikki deserved to be with her dad on that day. Is this the same dad who who a couple pages ago said this woman has nothing to do with, and he's a deadbeat and all that? Is this the same one? Marlene said they were only going for an early dinner, but they would be back home that evening so she and my dad could do something together. My dad did ask why Nikki's dad wasn't just going to pick her up for the day, but Marlene said that she didn't trust her ex to have Nikki without her being there to supervise. I guess he didn't really know the details of their relationship and didn't object. So Marlene and Nikki went to spend Thanksgiving with her ex and his parents, and my dad came to my place to have dinner with my girlfriend and me. Got a girlfriend, huh, bro? Okay. I hope all the things you've learned from this channel will help you in your relationship with your girlfriend. And don't fucking get married. And don't move in with her. The day was nice and the food was wonderful. After watching some football, Dad ended up going home to wait for Marlene and Nikki to get home. It wasn't until a couple hours later that I found out that she never came home that day. She didn't get back until late afternoon the following day. Oh, how nice of her, how considerate of her. Considering that her ex is a deadbeat and a lowlife, wants nothing to do with him. When he asked her what happened, she said they were all talking and Nikki and her dad were spending time together catching up. That it got too late to drive, so she spent the night at his parents' house and came home the next day. Where's the problem there? If it's such a bad situation like she described, there's no way in hell that she'd be spending that much time there, let alone sleep over at the house. Bullshit. I could tell my dad was a little angry about that by the way he was talking when he told me what happened. I wanted to ask him if he trusted her, but he was already in a bad mood, so I didn't. Probably a good idea to let that go at the moment. See, that's when your dad should have seriously been checking her, amongst many other things. Over the following 3 weeks, I guess things started going downhill. After Thanksgiving, Marlene had started talking and texting her ex a lot. And when my dad asked her why, she said Nikki's dad had a right to be in her life, and she was only coordinating with him times that he could see her. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. At first, it didn't bother my dad, but when he found her laughing and joking with him on the phone several times, he started to get a bad feeling. Trust your gut. On top of that, ever since Thanksgiving, Nikki has started to treat him rudely by ignoring him or making snarky comments that he wasn't her dad. Now, there's a stereotype for what happens to the guys that take in the single MOMs and their kids. The kids start being rudeful and disrespectful. So let's review. The mom and the girl living in his house, and her daughter is being rude and disrespectful to him, and she thinks she can get away with it? Not happening. But where do you think she gets that from? She obviously gets that by paying attention to how the mother treats him and what the mother really thinks about her guy. She's going to follow the lead of her mom. That was when my dad came over to talk to me and let me know if I thought he was making a mistake. Instead of giving him my opinion, I got him some beer, pulled up a bunch of your videos, and we sat there watching them while polishing off a 12-pack. By the time we were finished, his face was red and he was angry. Yeah, I get that reaction a lot from people for varying reasons. He told me that he thought that she was just using him, and he suspected that there was more going on with her ex than she was admitting to. I didn't really need to say anything. He came to the same conclusion that I had. He ended up crashing at my place that night, and when he got up in the morning, we had breakfast, and I asked him what he was going to do. It was something from one of your videos that he said that he was going to look at her phone to be sure he wasn't jumping to conclusions, and if it was what he thought, he was going to be kicking her out. All the secrets of the world can be found on the phone, guys. I'm pretty sure you already know what happened. 2,000 videos I've done between all three channels. I have a pretty damn good idea what's going to happen. When he got home, it took some time, but he got a hold of her phone, and the texts between Marlene and her ex were all about their plans to get back together. I'm sorry, Dad. She was going to break up with my dad and just say it wasn't working out and leave him. He didn't give her a chance. He gave her phone to her and told her to pack her things and get out. She wasn't angry that he was kicking her out. She was mad that he looked on her phone. How dare you? Invading my privacy. But I just told her, so what, and to get her stuff and get the hell out of his house. Good job, Dad. High five. That was when she started crying. Of course. And the excuse she gave him for why she was saying everything that she did with her ex made me choke on my drink. It's not word for word, but she told my dad that she was only telling her ex what he wanted to hear so he would be part of Nikki's life and to start paying his child support. God, pathological liars. I guess she forgot about the text they had been sending each other after Thanksgiving, talking about how great the sex was and how much they missed each other. She's telling him all this crap when he had the proof right then and there by looking at her phone, and I'm sure he's smart enough to take snapshots and send them to himself as evidence. And she's still lying through her teeth. And the Golden Globe goes to for the best actress. In the end, he threw her out with her cussing at him for being an a-hole, and that was the last time he's seen or heard from her. That was at the beginning of the year. Since then, my dad has refocused his life on his hobbies and just having fun. He told me that he also shared your channel with most of the guys he works with, and they've had a great time talking about some of the stories. In the end, I feel bad for what happened to my dad, what he had to go through, but I'm happy that he woke up before it was too late. Your dad's become woke, but woke in a good way. Thank you, SSM, not only for your work, but for the advice you give. It's not just the up-and-coming generation that needs this information, and yes, you can teach an old dog new trick. Have a great day. We'll be watching. That was a great story. And Dad, I know you're watching with all your buddies from work, getting a laugh out of this. What happened. It could have been way worse. You could have married her. Imagine that. You dodged a bullet. But I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you learned your lesson. I'm glad you now realize your son was right, and you're seeing the world before you. So all I can say is this. Number one, you're not old, because if you say you're old, that means I'm old, and I'm not fucking old. I'm just getting started in life. So you got your whole life ahead of you, and have a good one. Have a great relationship with your son. Keep doing what you enjoy. Sounds like you're finishing up your career maybe in the next decade, and you can spend the rest of your life doing what you like. And just be much more careful next time. If you're obviously kind of lonely, fair enough. A lot of guys are like you. For God's sake, really catch up with the times of how things they are. Your son can fill you in, as well as my channel, and do a much better job at vetting the gals in the future, if that's the path you want to go. Take your time. And all the bullshit, whenever you watch movies and you start seeing the bullshit happening, all this nice guy narrative that you see all the time to be the white knight and the hero, and you get the point, the stuff that you did, just pay attention to that, and you'll start to see, and you'll laugh out loud how large scale it is, and the bad programming does to so many guys. Don't be like that. And if you're out in dates in the future, and you feel like your old nice guy, white knight ways are coming about, smack yourself. Otherwise, your son will smack you for me, because I can't smack you, I can't track you down. But you want to pay for my flight to come out and see you, then I'll smack you, knock some sense into you. But good job. I'm sorry I went through all that bullshit, but life ain't over. And by the way, Dad, I guarantee you, that your ex, Marlene, that's her code name, you will hear from her again. I guarantee you, in time, because you said that was the beginning of the year that you broke up, so we're looking probably 3 to 4 months at best. I guarantee you're going to hear from her again. And she's going to come back with the waterworks, because in her view, she'll still think you're the same nice guy that took her in after 4 months, which I can't believe you did that, but after 4 months, and try to get a second shot with you. Because if it didn't work out with her second ex before, it's not going to work out again. She'll be back. And do not take her calls, her messages, nothing. Have nothing to do with her. I guarantee you she'll reach out to you. And when she does, either you or your son can write in and tell me what happened. I'd love to hear about that. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you got a great story to share about you or your dad, your brother, or somebody, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I will when I get a chance. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.